What if your birth chart was not just a personality description, but a set of instructions? A personal guide that tells you exactly what to focus on in each area of your life and how to approach it and what it feels like when you're doing it right. That's the star numbers system, and that is what it does. And today I'm going to walk you through it from the beginning, step by step, with real examples, so that by the end of this video, you should be able to look at any placement in your own chart, and even with numbers that you see in your everyday life, and you should read them in a completely new way. All right, let me change slides here and let's get on with it. So first of all, a little presentation of me. So my name is Gemini, and before I tell you about the system, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am, because I think it matters. So I come from two very different worlds. On the one side, I'm educated with a master's degree in business administration and business law. And I have spent close to 18, 19 years working as a project manager in a large international corporation. So before that, I was a cost controller and a business analyst, and I lived in a world of numbers and structures and logic, and that is the professional life that I've had. And it's taught me to think very clearly and build a solid framework and make things practical and grounded. But on the other side, I'm also trained as a practicing numerologist. I've been doing soul readings, name analysis, name changes, house number rectifications, and even analysis of the design date in human design to understand the energy of the person's body needs. So what feels good in their body to them. So the numbers have been the language for years, both in spreadsheets, but also in actually understanding people. And what I have also done is study astrology. And it was kind of in that space between numerology and astrology that this system was born. But it didn't come from a textbook. It actually came to me through meditations and through sitting down quietly and receiving something that actually feels better than what I could have been putting together with my analytical mind. So I don't even feel like I can actually take credit for the system. I just feel like I am the person who's available clearly to receive it, and now I feel like I must communicate it. So, but I want to say that my analytical mind has certainly helped me structure it and test it and make it into something that I can now feel like I can share with you. And that is important to me because the star number system is not a traditional astrology. It doesn't tell you that you're stubborn because you're Taurus, or you're dramatic because you're Leo. There is no negative labels in the system. There's no fear-based predictions. And what it does is rather to give you a clear, empowering, and deeply practical framework for understanding the energy that you're working with. And it is built entirely on this marriage between astrology and numerology. And you could even say that the way it's used in connection with astrology is actually that I work with the whole sign houses. And when I then look at the whole sign houses according to traditional astrology, or Western astrology, you could say, then my interpretation goes through the star number system. While the same exact system can actually be used in order to interpret numerology. So it's not like a system that is fixed and that is an astrology system. And it is also not a numerology system. It's rather that it's a combination of systems that kind of allows for interpretation of different things in life. All right, so there we go. I move on and I share the 3 building blocks and the bridge to numerology. So before we go into the numbers, I want you to understand 3 things. So that's the 3 building blocks, and once you have these, everything else kind of clicks into place, because it's a very logical system. I think anybody can learn it, and it actually gives you a tool in order to read and understand numbers anywhere, and it also makes you able to analyze and kind of figure out how to work with your astrology birth placement. So once you have these 3 3 things and understand both your planet sign and house and how to read that, everything else kind of fits into place. And so every placement in your birth chart, now we're talking about the astrological birth chart, and every placement in your birth chart has 3 parts. It has a planet, it has a zodiac sign, and it has a house. And in the star number system, each one has a very specific job. So the planet is the what. It tells you the area of life that is being activated. Think of it as the topic. So what we're talking about here. Mars is about your drive and your purpose. The moon is about your emotions and your connections and your receiving. And then Venus is about love and devotion, and each planet in this way has its own area, so to say. That's the what. So that's the planet. And then there's the zodiac sign, which is the how. And this is the tool, so to say, that you have been given in this life to work with and through. And and you can say in that area of life, the area of the planet, wherever that specific planet, that has that life area has a tool connected with it. And so it is your style and your approach and your method. So if the planet tells you the topic, then the zodiac sign tells you how to engage with that topic. What will feel natural to you? And you can think of it almost like a toolbox. So everybody has the same number of planets and all the same life areas, but the sign tells you which tool you kind of have to pick up. It's your toolbox, right? And then there's the house, which is the where. Like, it is the arena, the life arena, where this energy kind of plays out. So where it becomes visible. It is not just to the world, but also to you as your lived experiences. So the house is kind of like the stage, and it's the context in which you experience this energy. So that is the what and the how and the where, the planet, the sign, the house. And that is actually the framework when you look at an astrology chart. And remember, I use whole sign houses and the Western approach. But in principle, the sidereal approach could be equally fine as long as it's whole sign houses. So that's more a preference. I work with the Western tropical whole sign framework. And so, but once you understand the setup with the planet, the zodiac sign, and the house, then you can actually read any placement in your chart. Now let me move on to the next slide here. And so this is where it gets really interesting, and it's where the numerology comes in now, because in this system, every planet and every zodiac sign has a number. So when you combine these numbers, then the sign number plus the planet number, you get something I call a star number. And that's when you reduce that star number using basic numerology teachings. Then you just add the digits together until you get a single digit, and you also can use the double digits when you add 2 digits together. Then you can use the double digit as well as an intermediate interpretation. That is also important. But it is the final number, you can say, that's the ultimately resulting energy. And that when you add the sign and the planet, those 2 numbers, then that energy is something completely new that we haven't seen in astrology before, and it also, at the same time, it's new in the interpretation of numbers in numerology, because each number there has an energy and an interpretation. And I would actually go as far as to say that the interpretation through the star number system is very close to the numerology interpretations. But as I mentioned before, it is a very positive system, and I have not received anything negative. Rather, I have almost got the impression that this is supposed to be a completely positive and empowering system. So without any negative contrasts explained or shown. Okay, so then when you have this result energy, there is the addition to the current way of working with astrology. And that is where we get some new information that traditional astrology does not provide. And I think it's this is the piece that astrology gives to the the piece that numerology, the numerology part of the system, gives to the astrology, which is the new part. And it tells you this result energy really tells you what it feels like when you're doing it right. So when a person uses that tool in the right, so when you have an area of life, your planet, and it's sitting in a specific zodiac sign, then that zodiac sign is like the tool, the method of approaching the area of life. When you look at the resulting energy of these two, then you tap into the result energy. And that is when you do the result energy and feel the result energy, that is like the soul is now singing. Then you have really aligned this way of working with your area of life and taken on the quote-unquote correct way of working with that area of life. So it will make you feel aligned as a person whose chart it is. When you act in this certain way, then you will feel aligned, and then it is almost like something clicks into place, and it is like a key turning in a lock where you didn't even know, right? So it's like it just feels like things click. So that is the gift of combining these two systems, and the astrology gives you the structure and the planet and the sign and the house, while numerology gives you this outcome and the energy of alignment. Like, what is this when you do this? What is that alignment feeling? What feels really good? So together they create something even more powerful than either one of them could have done by itself. Okay, I will just change my slide. All right, so here's something else I want you to understand right from the beginning. So the star number system is not just working with your birth charts and the transits. We can look at many things. It also gives you the simple formula to understand numbers anywhere in your life. So we all have and see numbers everywhere. Like sometimes we might see repeating numbers on a clock, like 1111 or 22 or 23 or 30, that's not a repeating number, 33 or 34, for instance. And we see those maybe repeated, maybe we notice numbers. We all live in a house that has a number. We are born on a specific day, and that's when in numerology you can do what is equivalent of a birth chart, but in a numerology, in a numerological way. I have a session called Activating Soul Potential, which is actually where I look at the birth date and what it tells you about what your soul is here to kind of live. But that is also just looking at your birth date and the numbers in that. And it's of course your birthday is a day and a month and a year, and it all has numbers in it. So that's how we can do this soul analysis, so to say. And then Yeah, so in these numerology readings, the birth numbers are always added up to give you the soul number that most people know that they look up if they look up an numerological. That is basically adding your day and your month and your year, and then you have a soul number, and that is what you experience in this, what your soul is here to experience in this lifetime. So, but that's numerology. But I'm just saying that you can also interpret that part through the star number system, like you can interpret your birth numbers or your soul number through the Pythagorean system or the Chaldean system, and this is then another system that you can use to understand yourself, and you can feel what resonates more with you. Like most people either currently go with either the Pythagorean system or the Chaldean system, and they believe one or the other resonates more in the interpretation. And here I'm now presenting another version, so to say. And this is because it's so simple, and every number, even in numerology, you will be able to deduct which is what. So you can understand it from the astrological point of view and vice versa. So you always know that a planet has a number and a zodiac sign has a number, and then when you combine these, you understand what it is that you're looking at. So it's a simple and clear way to understand the meaning and the message carried by the number that you then encounter, no matter where you encounter them. So every number from 0 to 9 has a specific energy and a specific meaning. And once you learn those 10 meanings, which I'm about to show you now, then you basically get the key to unlock any number anywhere. And it also allows you, as I have said before, it actually also allows you to unlock your astrology chart. So you can basically refer back to this presentation. You can have take screenshots of this presentation, and then you can carry it with you everywhere. And then you know that you can always interpret a birth chart, or you can interpret any number you encounter, or your numerology chart. So that's actually what this video is doing. Let me show you. Let's go into the numbers straight away. So let's walk through all 10 numbers, and then each number has a planet and a zodiac sign, as I mentioned, and they share the same frequency. So each one carries a very specific energy, and I go through them now. As I go through them now, you will start to feel how different they are from each other, and how together they form a complete picture of this experience. So we start with the 0, let me say, quote unquote, a number 0, because it's actually not a number, but here we call it a number. But 0 represents Pluto, and it represents Scorpio. So 0 is the beginning, before the beginning even. It is the field of infinite potential, and that is where all possibilities exist, and nothing has yet been decided. Everything is available. You can think of an infant, a newborn baby that is completely open, completely trusting, completely surrendered. It has no defenses, it has no agenda, it has no mask. It is pure potential. It is all loving and all trusting, because it does not yet know any other way to be. But it is also completely dependent on others to fulfill its wishes. So it cannot get the milk itself. It can only signal that it wants it and trust that someone will respond. And that is the 0 energy. It's this very raw, bare state of surrender and openness. It is the most powerful energy in the entire system, because everything begins here, and it doesn't require consciousness to work with it, really. It is an invitation of the 0 to combine that childlike openness with this grown-up clarity. And so when you know what you want and fully expect it, then you must take action on it, though, in the grown-up state, because the infant is not able to do anything else but to try and signal that it is thirsty, for instance. But even in later childhood, a younger child, a little bit older child, not an infant, can actually ask for milk and be told, go get it yourself. And that is kind of what we have to learn about this Pluto energy and about the Scorpio setting. We have to not sit and be dependent on others, but rather know what it is you want and expect it, and then go take action, like go get the milk yourself, right? All right, let's move on to the number 1, which is represented by the Sun, and it is also Leo. So the number 1, or the 1, is the first spark. It is the life force, it is the Sun, it is creation itself. Now think of the Sun. It does not ask permission to shine. It does not need anything outside itself. It simply radiates, and through that radiance, it gives life to everything around it. So it just gives freely. It is the 1 energy is about the individual, it's about giving, it's about sending your creations into the world. You can also think of it as sperm. It is freely given, it is sent into the world to create or not, with no attachment to the outcome. The number 1 is like saying, I exist, I shine, I create, I give. What happens next is, it's not so much of my concern. My job is to express that light that I am. And this is vitality, it's passion, it's inspiration, it's optimism, ideas turning into reality. It is light becoming matter. Okay, so that was the 1. Now the number 2 is expressed through the moon, and it is also Cancer in the zodiac sign. So the number 2 is the receiver, like the number 1 was the giver. So the number 2 complements the number 1. So if the Sun gives, then the moon receives. If the number 1 is sperm, then the number 2 is the egg. So something has been offered, and now something must be open enough and receptive enough to take it in and begin to create with it. And you can think of the moon. It generates no light of its own, but it still illuminates the light. It still illuminates the night by reflecting the sun. So it also stabilizes the earth, and without the moon, life as we know it would not exist. And that is how essential receiving is. It's not passive, it is a creative power in its own right. So the number 2 energy is about connection, feelings, emotions, merging, co-creation. It's about your ability to receive what life is offering, and also to create something together with others. It's like the dance between giving and receiving, and between self and others. So that was the number 2, and now let's move on to the number 3. And the number 3 is represented by Jupiter, and it's also Sagittarius. So the number 3 is like the child. So it's curious, it's joyful, it's wide-eyed child who has just arrived in the world and wants to taste everything, smell everything, touch everything, hear everything, explore everything. The 3 energy is like pure presence. It is being in this moment like a child is in the moment. Like it is expanding your understanding of the world, not through so much a study. Well, it can be, but it's really much more about through experience, through delight, like the little child. The little child doesn't sit in a classroom and read about the ocean. It runs into the water and jumps in it and plays in it and sees what it's all about. And it is this is like curiosity it's so much curiosity. That is what really is in number 3. It is also joy, it is growth, it is learning, it's excitement, it's honesty, it's like this freedom that comes from being genuinely in the present moment. So number 3 is about what happens if I just let myself be delighted? Like, then what? Like, what if you just are playful like a child and go explore? That is the number 3. And then finally on this page, number 4, it's Uranus and Aquarius. So the 4 is the builder and it is the healer. So it what number 4 does is wants to clear the clutter. It's like a feng shui number. It is clean lines and it's clearing the clutter. Really describes it well. But it removes what is no longer working, and it does this in order to make room for something better. And if you've ever done any looked into feng shui, you can see that often the energy cannot flow if you have too much clutter, and and you're also not able to attract anything into your life really if there's too much clutter, because it is about making room for something. Like, there has to be room for something new to come in. And so that's what this energy is about. It's also like making room for something new to come in. That also indicates it already right there. It is focused on the future. And the number 4 kind of is asking about what do I need to change, what do I need to heal, what do I need to release, so that I can build something more solid and more true and go into the future with a more solid foundation. So there is almost something that is beautifully contradicting within the number 4 energy, because it really does long for stability and structure, because it really wants a solid foundation. It's also like, you can even think of a square. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 lines in a square. Like, it's solid, it's square, it's a solid foundation, right? It also represents foundations in the number 4. But at the same time, it knows that the best foundations are built on being willing to tear it down if it's outdated, and it is actually willing to start again. And it's willing to do that even though it really wants something solid. So because it is also this healing energy, and it's willing to do that for something better, for the future to be better. So it's also a number that represents actually hard work, and I say that in quotation mark, but it is just willing to work really hard, number 4, in order again to build a solid and good future. So it is not shy of working and giving it all. It also wants to innovate, it wants to think outside the box, and it also will dare to be different. And it's not for the sake of being different, but because, again, it wants to build something better. So it's willing to look at options, and it's willing to try, and it's actually, even though it kind of like this peaceful, foundational, good, solid foundation kind of way, and if everything was just as it should be, it would be so nice and peaceful for the number 4. But it's actually willing to give that up and be innovative and different and put itself out there, because it is going for a better future. So this is innovation, it's individuality, it's healing, it's clearing the clutter, it's working hard, it's honoring what makes you unique, and it is building a foundation worthy of your future. So that was all the numbers on this slide, and then I will just move on to the next slide. It is the numbers 5 to 9 here. So here we go. We start with the number 5, which is Mercury, but it's also representing like Mercury is the ruler of both Gemini and Virgo. So it is Mercury, Gemini, and Virgo in this star numbers context. So the 5 is the communicator. It's the networker. It's the creator of ideas. It like, you can think of an octopus that just can reach every direction. It can talk to everyone. It makes connections. It also moves fast, and that's kind of, and it loves freedom. So it has this really strong urge for freedom, so that it can move and connect. And that's so it is the energy of freedom and expression. So thinking and also co-creation through exchange. And it's almost like a Pinocchio coming to life, like suddenly able to kind of move and speak and to engage with the world directly. So the number 5 doesn't really sit still. It communicates, it networks, it's expressing itself, it analyzes, it thinks deeply, and it shares just freely. And so there are kind of these 2 flavors to the 5, because there's the Gemini side that is like this more young expression, which is like spontaneous and fast moving and broad-minded and very curious and creative, problem solving on the fly. And then there's the Virgo side, which is a more yin expression, and so it's more like, it's more analytical, detail oriented, step by step, diligent. It's making whatever it's doing, it's making it a habit. And together these 2 versions of the number 5 gives this full picture of the number 5. And it's really about freedom to express in your own way. And remember that communication is in quotation marks in a way. We talk about number 5 being about communication, which is very true, it is. But communication can be many things. You can communicate via speaking, you can communicate via writing, via acting, dancing, painting. You can express yourself in many ways, and through your way of expression, that is a form of communication. So let's move on to the number 6 here, and this number 6 is represented by Venus, and of course Venus rules Taurus and Libra, and it's so it's Venus, Taurus, and Libra. So this is like the same as with the number 5. It has 2 zodiac signs that it represents. So the number 6 is about love. It's about devotion. It's about beauty, patience, harmony, and it is the energy that kind of says, I will stay. I will look after this. I will tend to it. I will love it into being. And you can think about it as a gardener who plants a seed and then shows up every single day to water it, to care for it, and to trust that something beautiful is growing even when it's not visible yet, when it's still underground. And the number 6, you can also describe it as the energy of creation through love, like a pregnancy. Something is being formed, and slowly and with devotion and trust, and you cannot rush it. You can only love it and then show up. And so it is kind of like a pregnancy. In the beginning, you can't even see it. It's just like, it's just doing its thing. It's just growing through your love and trust and devotion. And by being there, giving your body love and giving the little life love. And so in the same way, eventually it will be birthed, right? And that is what the 6 is all about. It's about that patience, as I mentioned before. You can't really rush it. You can't rush a pregnancy. It is 9 months approximately, whether you want to rush it or not. It is what it is. And so it's actually about showing up and giving love and giving the devotion and trusting that it will actually be birthed at the right time. So that is so beautiful with the number 6. And remember, that is why it's also about patience. So we have to remember that with this 6 energy. And so the Taurus side of 6 is the yin expression, which means that it's patient, it's persistent, it's sensual, it's grounded, it's practical, it's slow, it's steady. And then there's the Libra side, and that's the yang expression. And so that is harmonizing, it's charming, it's diplomatic, it's artistic, and it kind of goes with the flow a little bit. And so together, these two descriptions are actually making up the full spectrum of love, from quiet devotion to flowing grace. All right. And so next we have the number 7, which is represented by Neptune, and that is the modern ruler of Pisces. And in this system, it was totally clear that it was 7 is Neptune and Pisces. So 7 is the dreamer. It is the mystic. It is the one who closes their eyes and see more than what the physical world can show. It is imagination, dreams, spiritual connection, intuition, and that profound trust that comes from knowing that you're a part of something bigger, something vast and loving. And so the energy, 7 energy, is actually very much about surrender. It's about releasing the tight grip, and it's allowing the universe to do its part. And it's not about giving up. It is actually about letting go of the need to control everything and trust that there is a wisdom at work, and that this wisdom is bigger than what you can think of. And so when you are in the 7 energy, then you accept and you feel peace and you allow. And so it's a very artistic and visionary energy. And it's also a spiritual seeker, and it's a compassionate soul who sees the beauty in what is rather than fighting for what should be. And so, for instance, to a number 7, there is no borders. It just doesn't make sense, because we're all one. And so it's a truly accepting energy, and it's not just about spiritual and, for instance, connecting with the universe. It is also just as much connecting with others, connecting with animals, connecting with the nature. It's really truly about oneness also. Okay, and then there is the number 8. We're almost there now. The number 8 is represented by Saturn and also by Capricorn. So 8 is the crystallizer. It is the leader. It is the one who brings something that, the one who builds something that lasts. And it is therefore, it has to be about structure, discipline, ambition, patience, long-term vision. And then also this power of showing up consistently over time. It is like, think of compounding interest. Compounding meaning you're putting a little bit in all the time, and then it just goes really into something. So big, right? So small, steady contributions that over time become so extraordinary. And that is the 8 energy. It is not like, oh, flashy, here and now. It is not super fast. It is unstoppable, though. It really is, because it has so much persistence and discipline to keep going, to keep moving forward. And it really does respect time. It also respects others. So it really earns, it is a leader, as I mentioned before. And the reason why it is a leader is also because it has authority, and it earns this authority through integrity and commitment. So when you're in the 8 energy, things, they will crystallize, they will take shape. You will see your projects become real. You will feel the clarity that comes from having done all the steps, all the work. You show up again and again, and you build something worth of standing the test of time. So it's really an amazing energy, right? So that is the number 8. And now let's do the last one. It's the 9, and that is represented by Mars and, of course, Aries. So 9 is the catalyst. It is the one who shows the way. It is not at all about telling others what to do, but rather living by it so completely that others cannot help but follow. Think of somebody like Gandhi. There was without army, without force, just unwavering commitment to living his truth, and then the whole world was moved. Like, that is the 9 energy at its core. It is really, really a powerful energy. It is truly a catalyst for change. And so the 9 energy is about drive, it's about purpose and courage, really strong courage, but it's also about compassion, and it's about this determination, and it's about doing something right. Like, it wants to start initiating, it wants to start acting, and it wants to act now, but it doesn't necessarily want to be fast, like number 5, for instance. It just wants to do it, and it's also not necessarily it's not necessarily slow. Like, it's not fast, but it's also not slow, but it does have the patience to see it through. So if it takes time, it takes time. So it doesn't wait for permission. It leads by example, and it transforms everything it touches through the sheer force of living with integrity. So it is actually also exemplified. Like, you can also think of it as a wildfire that just burns everything in its path. But in order to grow, like to make something even more beautiful come to life, or like a volcanic eruption, you know, it kind of, the lava spreads everywhere, and it totally burns and takes away everything in its path. But it becomes this beautiful volcanic island that is more lush than anything we see anywhere else. So it really does, it has this purpose latent within it, and also very determined, and it's just super transformational, the 9 energy. So it's an energy that is about kind of integrating what it has, it's seeing and learning, and then giving back through its actions, and not through just talking about things, but actually showing the way. And it doesn't need to convince others. It's just doing it. Like, it does it because it is what is right. That's it for that. So there's 10 energies from 0 through to 9, and now you have this key, and it's not just, don't just necessarily have the ability now to read your birth chart, but you have an ability to understand any number that you actually encounter. So whether it be a house number, a birth date, a repeating number you see on a clock, a number you keep seeing out on cars or whatever, and then each digit carries one of these 10 energy frequencies, and you also know what they mean, and you know how to put them, or you at least know how to put them together. But now let me show you a practical example here. And the first example I will show, it will be the moon in Gemini, which has the star number 52 reducing to 7. So 52, we call it just 52-7. That's how you talk numerology, so to say. Say the 52, and then you just say 52-7. So that is that's how you would talk numerology language. All right, so let's say you have the moon in Gemini in your chart. So how do you read that? Well, the first step is to see the planet. So the planet is the moon. That is your what? So the moon is about connection, feelings, emotions, co-creation. It carries the number 2, and so it's the area of life. So the area of life we're talking about here is actually your emotional world and your capacity to connect and merge with others. And so the second step is the zodiac sign, and Gemini is your how. And so that means it's your tool. So Gemini carries the number 5, and it is the energy, that energy is about thinking, communicating, expressing, networking, being flexible, acting fast, and creative problem solving. So the way you're meant to engage with your emotions is through communication and expression. So this is someone who processes feelings by talking about them, or writing about them, or thinking about them and thinking through them. It could also be through other ways of expressing, like dancing and painting or something. So it's very much about when you have feelings, you can express it in a communicative way. And so the third step is the star number itself, and we talk about the sign number, which is 5. That's the first of the 2 numbers, and then so you place that first, and then the planet number is the number 2, and that is placed in the second place. So always go with the sign first, and then the planet, and then that gives you the number 52. And now we reduce that. We say 5 plus 2 is 7, and so the resulting energy is 7. And so what is 7? 7 is about surrender, it's about trust, peace, acceptance, allowing the universe to do its part, and it's about this mystical insight. Excuse me. So here's the full reading. So in the area of your emotions and connections, which is the moon, the tool you have to use to express your emotions and connection is communication and expression, which is the Gemini. And when you're doing it, quote unquote, when you're doing it right, you will feel peace, surrender, and trust. Or you can also, of course, always turn it around. So you can say, you can strive for, when you have a lot of emotions coming up, you know that you should strive for trying to feel at peace. But you should still express yourself, right? That's the tool. You do need to express yourself, but when you express yourself, you will then feel peace. Okay. And so you may be someone who needs to talk things through, someone who possesses process emotions by putting them into words. But then at some point, you also do need to let go, right? That is kind of the lesson from the soul here. You have to stop analyzing at some point and just stop trying to think your way through every feeling. You have to trust, and you have to surrender to the flow, like the ebb and the tide, like the ocean. When you reach that place where you just, that's when you feel aligned, when you just allow it. So you just kind of have this acceptance. Something will click and your soul will sing. Okay, let's... So this is what I want you to notice then, is that we then turned this 2-digit number 52 into a complete understanding. And now we know what that number means. So it's not just in a birth chart, but also as a number. So if you see the number 52, you can actually read it. You can understand that in this area of how you connect and how you feel. So it talks to you about your feelings and how you connect with people. And you know that you should communicate and express yourself. And then that will then lead you to this kind of surrender and trust. And so that's the message here. And so if you see the number 52, you know that is a message to you. Okay, and this is the numerology bridge that I have been talking about, how the star number formula gives you a way to read any number that you encounter. And if you have number 52 as a house number, for instance, then you understand what energy you are in. And so whatever house number you have, you can read the digits. You can kind of try and understand it. And you can break it down, and you can use the system to analyze it, and the system will give you this vocabulary and to gain this understanding. And of course, the more you work with it, the more you will be sensing the energy that you're talking about. But let's go a little bit deeper into this particular example, because the result energy is 7. has this extra information. So that is something extra that this system gives compared to just looking at, for instance, an astrology chart by itself, as it is. Because without the star number, you might say, oh, Moon in Gemini means that you think about your feelings and communicate your emotions, and that is all very true. But with this system, you will have this key, and the key is to surrender, and it is to accept, and is to trust the universe, and it is to allow others to be who they are. Do not overthink it. Do not try to be right. Do not try to control the emotional outcome. You let go and you accept the circumstances. That is massive. And you trust the universe. And that truly is what also love is. And it is very beautiful. If you can see, the beauty in the fact that we're not all the same, and we are each here to live our own lives and have our own experiences, then that's where this alignment lives, in the full acceptance and trusting. So that's this extra information. So there's a lot of information in one placement, and and you can say we haven't even talked about the house yet, which also tells you where in your life this energy kind of plays out, and how that's how the system is so precise, actually. Okay, let me move on here. Have another example, and this is Uranus in Scorpio as an example. Okay, so the next example is Uranus in Scorpio. So this one is a little special. Let me see here. So let's say you have Uranus in Scorpio. Then Uranus is the planet of innovation, individuality, healing, clearing the clutter, and daring to do things differently. That is the number 4. And the sign is Scorpio. And that's where this is unique, because Scorpio carries the energy of 0. And that's the field of potentials. So the star number becomes 04, and 0 plus 4 is of course 4. So the resulting energy takes us back to the energy of Uranus itself, and that represents healing, transformation, doing things differently, honoring your individuality, building a solid foundation, and freedom. And you can go back, of course, in the presentation to see each of the numbers interpretation. So if we just for a second talk about 0 as the tool, because this is unlike any other sign in the system. Excuse me. When Scorpio is your tool, then you're not being given a specific way to act so much as you are being given the field of potentials. And so you have to kind of think of this. If you go back to the example about the 0 or the number interpretation, and we talked about the 0, then try and remember the infant. Like, what does the infant represent? It is all loving, it is all trusting, it's the completely open state where nothing has been ruled out yet. And that is the energy you're working with. Everything is available, nothing is impossible. And this is incredibly powerful, because it comes with this kind of almost like an invitation. The infant can feel its hunger, but it cannot go get the milk. It depends entirely on others. The child at 8 or 9 years old, for instance, that can ask clearly for what it wants. And when the parents are like, yeah, go get it yourself, then the child can do that. So that is the kind of the growth arc of the 0. You start with this complete openness, and then you mature it, and then you learn how do you become crystal clear in your asking, and also clear for yourself what is it that you actually want, so you can express your true want. And then you hold that expectation of what that will happen, and then you act. So it is kind of like, you know, the infant or the child for that matter, if they are thirsty, they have a complete expectation that thirst will be addressed and they will have something to drink. It is not really a question. It is a true expectation, and that is kind of the almost tool that you have to work with. You become clear, and then you expect it. And then, of course, the mature version now, that's where we have the older child as an example. That's when you actually have to act yourself. So you now, in a grown-up state, you know that people will not serve you just because you ask. Like, you will figure out what you want, you will have the expectation it will happen, and then you'll start acting on it as if it's gonna happen. So Uranus in Scorpio then will kind of say, like, so the area of your innovation, of your healing, of your individuality, you have in that area of life, you have access to all possibilities. Nothing is off the table. But you do have to step out of this childlike space of waiting for someone else to make it happen. And then you kind of have to become the person who clearly asks and who fully expects, and then you act accordingly. And there's something extra in this star number that it gives us, and that is this, that we have to remember that the resulting energy is really important. So that is the Uranus energy of itself that it returns to here. So, and this energy tells you, it kind of tells you that when you do it right, you will feel it in, like, all the way in your bones. You will heal, you will transform, you will reinvent yourself, you will do things your way, and you will feel deep, solid freedom of someone who has built their own foundation from scratch on your own terms. And so as a number, the number 04 has then the message that in this field of potential, when you apply that to the healing and building your future, then it leads to this freedom and transformation. And if that, whether it appears in your chart as a number or if it's a number you encounter, then the message is the same. Everything is possible when you're willing to do it differently. All right? Good. So that was that example, and so let's move on to the next one, and that is where we combine now a kind of, you can say, a complete reading of an astrology chart. So here we have Neptune in Aries in the 9th house. So how would you interpret that using the star number system as your interpretation method? So we have the planet and the sign, which we have gone through 2 examples of that, and then we have the house, so that's the addition. And so let's say you have Neptune and Aries in your 9th house. So we have, swap the slides accidentally. Here we go. So we have the what, which is Neptune. Carries the number 7. We have your, which represent your imagination, your dreams, your connection to the universe, your spirituality and your intuition. And then you have the how, which is Aries, which is number 9. And this is the tool you're using, remember? So that is, how do you connect with the universe? How do you connect with your dreams and your imagination? You do that through the tool of 9, Aries, which is courage, determination, persistence, compassion, showing the way by doing it yourself. You are being the catalyst here. All right, so that then sums up to the star number 97. And we reduce that by adding up 9 plus 7, and we get the resulting energy, which is 16. And 16 in and of itself is a message to us because it kind of goes through the number 16. So we can actually analyze the number 16. But right now, let me just take you through the calculation. So 9 plus 7 is 16, then 1 plus 6 is 7, and then the resulting energy is therefore about the 7 again. Like it takes you back to 7 like we did before with Uranus and Scorpio. And so here we also return to the same number as the planet itself. And so it ends up with surrender, trust, peace, and mystical insight. So now you notice immediately that now you'll notice the intermediate number of 16. And this is not just something that you kind of throw away. We can read this in the same way that we read any other star number, because this is where, for instance, there's a big difference if your Neptune is in Aries versus if your Neptune is in Scorpio. It's actually two very different energies, even though they both result in 7. So if we just carry this through and we then look at the star number 16, then the 6 is the Venus energy. It's the love and devotion and patience, and that's the area. And then the 1 is the sun's energy. So that's all about self-expression, inspired action, inspiration, creation. And so that is the tool. So 1 plus 6 is 7. So within the journey of 97, there's actually a smaller journey inside where in the area of love and devotion, the tool is, so you have love and devotion, and you use the tool of self-expression and creation. So it actually is about the way you approach love is through your own self-expression. And that's, sorry. And when you do this as the energy kind of intense, then that love and devotion will result in the surrender and trust. So this kind of journey from 97 to 7 has this intermediate number revealed in it, and therefore gives some extra insight into how to work with the number 97, and that is of course giving a little more complexity, but also interesting nuances that is worth taking into consideration, so you can really work with it. All right, and then the where is of course in the 9th house in this example. So that I call the house of sacred purpose and transformative power. Fire. Now it goes all wrong. So the house of sacred purpose and transformative fire. And this is where the personal mastery meets the universal mission. So it's the arena where you have this passionate drive, the compassionate leadership, and being a catalyst for change. It is by showing the way through living your truth. It is really about, the 9th house is about where you find your purpose, and where you have to be, what are you, that's where you'll find what you're willing to, go all in on. And so this is what it says when we put it all together in the arena of your sacred purpose. Then, in this arena of your sacred purpose and your drive to be a catalyst for change, which is the 9th house, then the area to focus is your dreams and imagination. It's your spiritual connection. And the way to do that is through your tool, which is courage, determination, showing the way by doing. And so when you're doing it as you are, so you feel aligned, so when you're doing it right, you will feel this deep peace and surrender and trust that the universe is guiding your mission. And that's the resulting energy of 7. And that is a person whose life is purpose, like a person whose life purpose is spiritually driven, and they pursue their dreams with fire and passion, and they know they will be aligned when they feel that deep inner peace. And this extra transformation from the star number key is that that all this courageous action and spiritual seeking, or all the dreams and imagination and passionate purpose, it all leads back to peace. It's not about striving, it's about peace, it's about trust, it's about surrender. And that's when the soul is singing. So this is like balancing between really taking action and being driven and pursuing your purpose, but also being able to surrender and trust the universe. So it's a really interesting number. So that's so the number 97 itself has this pure number. Wherever you see it as a number, it carries this message of the area of your dreams, of your spiritual connection, and then you use the tool of courage and passion and action. And when you do it right, then you will feel a sense of peace, and you will be trusting, and you will feel like connected. And tucked inside this whole journey of 97, you will know that there's the number 16, which is about love and devotion and taking inspired action and using this creative power of the sun of the number 1. And so that, leads to surrender and trust and acceptance. And so that's the stories from the 2 digits that is reduced and becoming another 2 digit, and then it is reduced to down to the 1 digit. And that is how this system gives you all these layers, and you of course have to work with it to really get it a full understanding in. But today this is where you can start, and then of course it would be lovely if you would join my channel and subscribe, because then I will put a lot more readings out, and then you can follow along and get to know this system much better over time. So this is how all the placements in your chart really works, in the same way. So now it's just about going and playing with it a little bit, I think. So let's move on to the next slide. It's really, we're about to reach the end now. This is what makes this system different. And what makes it different is from what you already know. You might be wondering how is this really different than what I've done before. And so there's a few things to say about the system that I have really been feeling as very true when I have received these messages, and I'm really trying my best to honor the input that I have received, because I don't feel like I can totally take credit for it. It is not truly my system. I haven't invented it. I have only put it down on paper. So what is clear is that there is no negative labels. You won't hear me talk about a placement making you jealous or aggressive or lazy or controlling or other things like that, which is totally normal and also probably has its place in a normal astrology reading. That is, I am not denying astrology as it is. I think we all have our different there's room for everything, and there's room for all interpretations, and everything can contribute to your understanding, and it's probably worth hearing many different versions of interpretations, because people have received these things, these messages, and this is just the way I have received this information. So every sign, every planet, every house in this system has a positive and empowering description. It is it feels very conscious to me that it is all positive and empowering, and it's there to support you and to be excited about what is coming and what your energies are. So these energies, there are tools and there's area of life, and no tool is bad. They are just waiting to be used through awareness. And when I describe Scorpio and I describe this infinite field of potential and childlike openness, when I describe Aries and I describe the courage and compassion and showing the way, and when I describe Capricorn and I describe this patience and leadership and deep respect for others, that is truly how I experience these energies, and that is how I wish to present them to you. So that is the narrative that you can bring forward and feel super empowered about any placement you have anywhere in your chart. And you should never ever feel jealous or envious of another person's chart and think that chart is better than my chart. No, your chart is so beautiful and perfect for you, and there's nothing negative. All is good and all is as it should be. And so there's another thing, and that is, of course, that the result energy is entirely new, at least as to what I know. I haven't heard of anybody talk about it before, so I will just dare to say that it is new, and maybe somebody says it's not. So I'm just working with what I am getting of messages. So the star numbers and its numerological reduction will give you something that astrology does not, at least in its current form, provide, and that is this feeling of alignment. So it tells you actually what happens in your body and your soul when you're using these tools and you're using, like, in the different areas of your life. And that's incredibly practical. So instead of just describing who you are, it tells you actually how to know when you're on the right track. And in that way, I feel like this system actually gives you a compass, and a compass that works in real time, and you can feel it, and you can feel, if you have the moon in Gemini, do I feel peaceful? And then you can actually strive to become peaceful. You might then decide to work through your emotions by, let's say, expressing yourself through painting, and then you might achieve this sense of peace. So it's this compass that is actually new, and I hope you will enjoy that part. And then, of course, the houses, they have their own unique meanings, and that is also something that I have to respect. I have got this message and understanding that each of the house meanings have their own, and like each of the houses in the 12 houses in the zodiac has their own unique meanings. And it's not actually differing so much, I don't feel, from the traditional. Like, of course it does sometimes, but it's not that much off. So it tells me that maybe there's something that I have received that is actually still to be refound, maybe in the old system. But I work through the numbers and have an understanding of each of these houses through their placement. So the first, the second, the third, and then I analyze them according to that. So the 12 house system does not totally follow the traditional house system. And so each house has its specific frequency and it's a specific invitation, and it kind of has this journey through it. So creation and the sun's energy in number 1, and receiving in number 2, or the number 1 and number 2, like in the first house, and receiving in the like looking at the number 2, but receiving in the second house, curiosity and being in the moment in the third house, which represents number 3, the transformation, and, like, of course also the foundation, as a traditional astrology would say, but I would say it's a living foundation. It's one that is changeable. So it's a transformative place, actually, and not rigid structure. So that's the 4th house, and it's based on the number 4, and then expression in number 5, which is also very much aligned with the traditional astrology, I would say. But this expression that is within the number 5 is in the 5th house. And then to love and to give birth to something by devotion and by tending to it and trusting it and being there for it, by giving it love. And you can see that as your daily work, of course, because you're tending to something all the time that ultimately will give birth to something. So, but it's a different way to look at the houses. And then in the 7th house, it's about surrender, it's about acceptance, it's about trusting. And you can say trusting the universe or trusting other people, accepting the universe, accepting other people. So again, similarities to the traditional house system, but yet something new. Then you have the crystallization, the leadership in the number 8 and the 8th house. You have the 9th house, which is strongly saying this is the purpose house. You have the manifestation house in the 10, because it's the 0, the field of potential combined with self-expression. So that is the manifestation house, and then this heartfelt offering, like to offer something to others, because it's the 11th house, and it's the self-expression, and the, you know, remember the number 1 with the sperm and the giving. So here 2 of the ones is like giving and giving, but then what it result energy is actually receiving. It's the number 2. It's merging and connecting. So that's like why I call it, or the system has come with a heartfelt offering. And then, of course, based on that, you offer something and you receive something, right? And finally, the 12th house, which I consider the field of potential, which is in this system representing the 0. So there you have it. It's moving through constantly, and then it goes again. And so the system also works beyond just the birth chart, as I have mentioned in the beginning of this, that it's not just about interpreting astrology. It's also actually, it's built on this combination between astrology and numerology, and the star number system is rather a tool for interpretation, you could say. Whether you interpret an astrology chart or you interpret numbers that you see, you go through the same analysis. And so it's like a formula. That is really what it is. So yeah, you have a birth chart. It's a way that this star number system is really how you, it gives you this language for understanding numbers everywhere. And you have a birth chart, but you also have a soul number, for instance, through the numerological calculations. Your house has a number. You might see repeating numbers. You might see numbers randomly down the street, and you keep picking up the same number. You see it everywhere. You might have significant dates, wedding dates, or dates when you met your husband or wife, or you know, dates when your kids were born, or like the other very special dates that you can also learn to interpret through this system. And once you know the energy of 0 through to 9, then you really have this decoder, quote unquote, decoder with you everywhere you go. And that, I think, is very exciting about this system. All right, and then just here at the end, I just want to make a note, because in astrology there are many aspects that are often interpreted, whether it's a conjunction, it's a sextile, square, trine, opposition, so on. And since I have been, I kind of use astrology, you might be wondering what my take is on the aspects and the angles between planets in the chart and so on. And I want to be totally honest about this. I do see these aspects and I do work with them a little bit, but I'm not ready to share it yet. I am not ignoring them, but I'm just not right there. I haven't totally understood the messages yet. So I'm still working through the system, and it's been over the last 3 years I've been receiving this, and not until now I've been ready to put words to this. So bear with me, and I believe for what I have understood so far is that it is definitely a slightly different take on the aspects than what you are learning in astrology elsewhere, I think. But I'm not ready to include it in my analysis yet. And so in the beginning, I just want you to keep this easy to understand. I wanted to keep it clean and clear. Like there's the planets, there's the zodiac sign, which is the numbers, and then there's the houses, which is a different layer. And then the star number system in itself is sitting really powerfully just on its own, like it is right now with these 3 layers, I believe. And so I just feel like it's important that we experience this now, this power, and then I might bring in the aspects at a later point into the conversation, and then I will do that in a consistent way and respecting the system and the other information that I have received. So, and finally, so this system is a positive system. I don't want it to be any kind of hard truths, or I just want to say I trust in you. I trust that you're capable of growth, and you're capable of healing. You're capable of transformation. And what I am suggesting with the system is to have give you a map for that journey that feels really empowering rather than limiting. And every person have the capacity to work consciously with their energy, and the system is designed to help you do that in the most empowering way possible. So here is the sorry, let me bring it the last slides here. Let me bring it together. So the star number system is built on these 3 layers that we have talked about throughout. So the planets tell you about what, meaning the area of the life of your life. The zodiac signs tell you about how, meaning the tool, what tool you use. And then the house tells you where, which means the arena of your life. So where you act this out. And when you combine the sign number and the planet number, then you get the star number, which is the new addition. And that will tell you when you are aligned. So it tells you what your soul will feel when you're on the right track. So this is the framework. It is simple enough to explain in this video, even if it is a somewhat long video. I don't feel like it's too long though, but it's also deep enough to reveal something new every time you look at it. So on this channel, I'm going to be using this system to look at transits. I might also be looking at some birth charts now and again. I'm not totally sure how this is gonna work out. Right now I have Uranus through Gemini posted. And so let's see. Maybe I'll look at some birth charts sometimes, I don't know. And maybe I'll look at some of the day numbers or something like that. A little bit of numerology as well. That could maybe be fun. And otherwise, please comment below on this video if you feel like you have something, or you see numbers or something that you would like an interpretation of through this system. Then I'm a little bit open just now, and we'll see where it goes. But no matter what, everything I share will be based on this framework, and there will be no fear, there will be no negative labels. There'll be empowering, number-based way of understanding the energy that you're working with, and the alignment that is available to you. So if this resonated, or you are curious to see how this applies to your own chart, then please just subscribe and stay tuned. I have more transit analysis coming up, and then you can start understanding how to work with the star number system and read the planetary movements, and how this kind of shapes the next chapter of your life. But also eventually, when I post enough kind of numbers, then you might even refine some of these in your own birth chart, and thereby get an analysis over time of your birth chart, you could say, in that way. So if you stay tuned. I also have a career and success reading report, you could say, a career and success report available based on the system, and I have a manifestation key report based on the system available, and I have some love report and relationship reports, and I will be linking to them, and so you can go and purchase your very specific report based on your astrological chart and get it as a report. So that's also an option for you, at least to start working with it in that way, as a written report that you can then carry with you. And remember, this is always empowering. So it is not gonna be shocking you with negativity, because there is no negativity in this system. It's very clear to me that this is an empowering system. So in the meantime, go ahead and look at this video again, take a couple of screenshots if you will, and then try and play with it and look and spot numbers and try and think, what is the message that I'm getting through this? And please comment below if you want. Yeah. So thank you so much for being here, and I'm really glad that you found this, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye.